The chime of the morning sun cycle was the softest sound Elara knew, a whisper of synthesized birdsong that danced on the edge of sleep. Not the raucous chirping of earthbirds, which she'd only seen in ancient data logs, but the melodic, gentle trills of biosculpted light-song warblers, designed specifically for the low-gravity environment of Aethelgard Station. Elara stretched, her small body floating a few centimeters above her sleep mat before the automatic tethers gently reeled her back down. The mat itself was a marvel of bioluminescent fibers, shifting from deep violet to a comforting pale gold as it registered her awakening. She rubbed the sleep from her eyes, which, even half closed, could still perceive the grand sweeping vista beyond her transparent wall, the impossible blue marble of Earth, swirled with white clouds, hanging like a colossal jewel in the velvet black of space. A sliver of the moon, a pale crescent, was just emerging from Earth's limb. "Good morning, little star," her mother's voice hummed from the comm panel beside the bed. A holographic projection shimmered into being, not a full, three-dimensional image, but a soft luminescent portrait, her mother's kind eyes crinkling at the corners. "Did the stellar slumber treat you well?" Elara giggled, pushing herself off the mat with a practiced grace that belied her 8 years. "It wasn't full stellar slumber, Mama, just a regular sleep cycle in my room." She bounded towards the viewport, pressing her nose against the cool, resilient plasteel. Earth was so close today, its continents a legible map. She could almost trace the outlines of the ancient cities she learned about in her history lessons. Her mother's holographic smile softened. "Ah, yes, of course. Forgive me. I often forget you're not quite ready for the full protocol, but even regular sleep on Aethelgard is a kind of stellar slumber, wouldn't you agree, bathed in starlight cradled by the void?" Elara nodded, though her thoughts were already drifting. She yearned for the Icreol stellar slumber, the kind her mother and the other adults experienced in the central slumber chambers. They described it as more than just sleep, a journey, a connection, a profound rest that left them feeling utterly renewed, as if their very essence had been harmonized with the cosmic hum. She'd heard hushed conversations, seen the serene, almost glowing expressions on their faces afterwards. It was a privilege, a rite of passage, something only children over 10 were usually permitted to try, and even then, only under strict supervision. Her mother's voice called her back. "Breakfast is ready, sweet pea, and don't forget your morning exercises. We need those muscles strong for zero-G maneuvers in the recreational dome later." Elara pushed off the wall and drifted through the archway into the main living area of their module. Aethelgard Station was a testament to human ingenuity, and a commitment to peaceful coexistence with the cosmos. It wasn't one of the sprawling industrialized orbital cities, but rather a research and observation platform, designed for long-term deep space study and the preservation of human well-being in the void. Its primary purpose, according to the station's foundational charter, was to listen to the universe and understand our place within it. Their module was a cozy sphere, cleverly designed to maximize space and functionality. Artificial gravity, maintained by a delicate dance of centrifugal forces in their section, kept everything comfortably grounded, but the sensation was lighter than Earth, a perpetual spring in her step. A small nutrient-rich breakfast, synthesized fruit paste and fortified cereal squares, awaited her on the auto table. The table automatically adjusted its height to her, a thoughtful convenience. While she ate, Elara watched her mother, Dr. Aris Thorne, move about their module. Aris was a xenobotanist, specializing in the cultivation of resilient, adaptable plant life for long-duration space travel and potential terraforming. Her hands, usually stained with nutrient gels or fine soil, were expertly preparing her own breakfast, a complex protein shake. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, practical for the station's environment. "Mama," Elara began, carefully spooning a bite of cereal. Aris paused, turning to face her daughter. Her eyes, the same warm brown as Elara's, held a familiar blend of patience and quiet amusement. "You ask that every week, little star, and every week, my answer remains the same. When you're ready, when your neural pathways are fully developed to handle the sensory input, and your mind is mature enough to process the deep, meditative state it induces." "But what within it, exactly?" Elara persisted. Is it like a super dream? Or is it like going somewhere? Aris smiled, taking a sip of her shake. It's a bit of both, and neither all at once. Imagine a symphony, Elara, a symphony of the cosmos. The Stellar Slumber Protocol, or SSP, as the scientists call it, is a technology that allows your brain to synchronize with the natural frequencies of the universe. The gravitational waves from distant black holes, the electromagnetic whispers of nebulae, the faint echoes of the Big Bang itself. It helps your mind filter out the Deimos and Trulia. Elara's eyes widened. The Big Bang? Really? Well, not directly, perhaps, Aris chuckled. But the lingering energy, the SSP helps you achieve a state of consciousness where your mind can perceive these subtle energies, integrating them into a profound state of rest and rejuvenation. It's not just about sleeping, it's about connecting. It allows your subconscious to explore, to process, to heal, all while being immersed in the vastness of space. Sounds like a very long meditation, Elara mused, trying to picture it. In a way, yes, Aris agreed. But a guided one, a deeply immersive one. The slumber pods aren't just comfortable. Do you see things? Elara asked, leaning forward with anticipation. Aris paused, a far-off look in her eyes. Sometimes, vistas of unimaginable beauty, patterns of light that defy terrestrial geometry, sometimes just a profound sense of peace, a feeling of being a tiny, perfect part of something immeasurably grand. It's different for everyone, and it changes with each session. That's why it's so vital for long-duration space habitation. It combats neural fatigue, psychological isolation, and helps maintain cognitive health. Elara finished her breakfast, the promise of the SSP a shimmering beacon in her mind. I want to connect to the cosmos, Mama. I want to feel the Big Bang. Aris laughed, a warm melodic sound. You will, little star. In time. For now, let's focus on your zero-G exercises. The cosmos awaits, but a strong body and a curious mind are your best vessels for exploration. The rest of the morning passed in a flurry of activity. Elara attended her virtual lessons, learning about stellar cartography from a holographic tutor who floated serenely in her room, pointing out constellations with a shimmering laser pointer. She practiced her zero-G maneuvers in the station's recreational dome, a vast spherical space where children and adults alike tumbled and soared, playing elaborate games of tag or gravity ball. Her friend, Kale, a boy with bright, inquisitive eyes and a perpetually mischievous grin, was her usual partner in these aerial escapades. Today, they pretended their arms were tiny thrusters, propelling them towards imaginary comets. I heard my dad talking about a new discovery from the deep space probes, Kale whispered as they drifted past each other, pushing off a soft padded wall. Something about a new kind of energy signature. He said it was unprecedented. Elara's eyes widened. Unprecedented? Do you think it's aliens? Kale shrugged, his expression a mix of excitement and skepticism. He didn't say, just that it was making the scientists on the observation decks very busy. He said they were even adjusting the SP protocols to try and attune to it. The word attune resonated with Elara, linking to her mother's description of the SP Titir. Could the stellar slumber really help them understand something new from the depths of space? The thought thrilled her. After her lessons and play, Elara spent some time in the station's hydroponics lab, a lush, verdant sanctuary within the metal shell of Aethel. The air here was rich with the scent of growing things, earth-grown herbs like basil and mint, alongside genetically engineered flora that thrived on recycled water and specialized light spectrums. Her mother was supervising a team of bioengineers, carefully monitoring a new batch of star lilies, luminous plants designed to bloom in microgravity, their petals gently unfurling like tiny bioluminescent sails. These are beautiful, Mama, Elara said, gently touching a glowing petal. It felt cool and surprisingly soft, like spun moonlight. They are, Aris agreed, her fingers deftly adjusting a nutrient drip. They're not just pretty, Elara, they're vital. They're part of our station's biogenic air recycling system, and their light helps regulate our circadian rhythms. Plus, they remind us of the beauty we're striving to protect, both here and in the vast garden of the universe. As evening approached, a different kind of quiet settled over Aethel. The station's internal lighting shifted to warmer, softer hues, mimicking the gentle descent of twilight. Families gathered for dinner, the sounds of conversations and laughter echoing softly through the communal dining areas. Elara and Aris shared a meal of nutrient-paced and crisp, fresh-grown greens from the hydroponics lab. "Mama," Elara said, halfway through her meal, a sudden thought striking her. "If the SSP helps us connect to the universe, and there's a new energy signature out there." Aris put down her utensil, her expression thoughtful. "That's a very perceptive question, Elara. The scientists are certainly exploring that possibility. The SSP is at its core a sophisticated sensory amplifier and harmonizer. If there's a new cosmic frequency, a unique vibration, it's plausible that the SSP could help certain individuals perceive, or even interpret it." A flicker of an idea, bright and irresistible, sparked in Elara's mind. "Could I try it tonight? The ideal stellar slumber? Just for a little while, please?" Aris sighed softly, a familiar look of conflict in her eyes. "Elara, we've talked about this. The minimum age protocol is in place for a reason. Your young brain is still developing, and the full SB can be very intense." "But Kale said his dad mentioned they were adjusting the protocols." Elara pressed, her voice urgent. "Maybe for younger people? Maybe to try and perceive this new energy. I'm 8, Mama. I'm almost 10, and I'm very good at listening. You always say I'm curious." Aris looked at her daughter, at the earnest plea in her wide, stargazing eyes. She saw not just a child eager for a new experience, but a genuine desire to understand, to connect. And Elara was imperceptive, often noticing details others missed. Ethelgard was a place of exploration, of pushing boundaries, and perhaps, just perhaps, a limited, carefully monitored session wouldn't be out of the question, especially if the new cosmic signal was truly unprecedented. The station's charter encouraged deep engagement with the unknown. "The protocols are being adjusted," Aris admitted, her voice softer now. "A modified, low-intensity sequence has been developed for certain developmental studies, to gauge early neural responses to specific cosmic frequencies. It's usually reserved for volunteers in the research division. But..." She paused, her gaze drifting towards the viewport, where Earth was now distant, shimmering jewel, slowly setting into the black. "The station directive encourages us to foster a deep connection to the cosmos in our children, and you get a curious little star." Elara held her breath, hope blossoming in her chest. "All right," Aris said finally, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. "But it will be a very limited session, Elara. The lowest possible intensity, and I will be with you the entire time. No deep dives, just a gentle introduction. We'll call it Stellar Slumber Light, and you must promise me, absolutely promise, that if you feel uncomfortable, even for a moment, you will tell me immediately." "I promise, Mama." Elara practically bounced in her seat. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." The preparations were surprisingly simple, yet imbued with a sense of solemnity that thrilled Elara. First, a light meal of calming herbal tea and a single protein-rich energy wafer. Then, a short guided meditation session in their module, with soft ambient music playing, and images of tranquil nebulae projected onto the walls. Aris explained that it was important to prepare the mind, to clear away the day's distractions, and to set an intention for peaceful rest and open perception. "Think of your mind as a quiet lake, Elara," Aris explained, her voice a soothing balm. "The ripples are your daily thoughts, your worries, your games. The SSP helps those ripples settle, revealing the deep still waters beneath, and in those deep waters you can reflect the stars." When it was time, they took one of the station's silent, automated transport pods to the central slumber chambers. The journey was short, gliding through illuminated corridors that hummed with a low, almost imperceptible energy. As they approached the slumber chambers, the air itself seemed to grow quieter, cooler, filled with a subtle, earthy scent, like damp soil after a gentle rain. The entrance to the chambers was a grand, sweeping archway, flanked by 2 towering panels of iridescent plasteel that shimmered with captured starlight. Inside, the space was vast and softly lit, a cavern of serene tranquility. Individual slumber pods, sleek and elegant, were arranged in concentric circles, each one a self-contained cocoon of advanced technology. They glowed with a faint internal light, like sleeping fireflies. The entire chamber was designed for optimal sensory deprivation and gentle immersion, filtering out all extraneous noise and vibration. Aris led Elara to a smaller, specially designated section, away from the main adult pods. Here, the pods were slightly more compact, designed for younger occupants, and equipped with additional safety monitors. The one Elara was led to was a soft pearlescent white, shaped like an elongated egg, resting on a field of bioluminescent moss that pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic light. "This is a dream cocoon," Aris explained softly, her hand resting on the smooth surface. "It will support you, comfort you, and guide you." Elara's heart thumped with a mix of excitement and a touch of apprehension. This was it. The real thing. She carefully climbed into the cocoon, settling onto the soft, form-fitting internal cushion. It molded perfectly to her body, a gentle embrace. The air within was fresh and cool, subtly scented with a calming blend of lavender and ozone. Aris leaned over, her face illuminated by the cocoon's internal light. "Remember your promise, little star, and just relax. Let your mind be open but don't force anything. The universe will come to you." She pressed a soft kiss to Elara's forehead. "I'll be right here, monitoring everything." With a gentle whir, the cocoon's lid began to descend, slowly enclosing Elara in its luminous shell. It wasn't dark inside. Rather, the interior walls began to glow with a soft, shifting spectrum of colors. Deep indigo, then violet, then a shimmering silver. A faint, almost subliminal hum filled the space, a deep, resonant tone that seemed to vibrate in her very bones. Elara closed her eyes, just as Aris had instructed. She felt a gentle vibration, a barely perceptible thrumming, emanating from the cushion beneath her. It felt like the cocoon itself was breathing. The light behind her eyelids shifted and swirled, no longer just internal but seeming to expand, to fill an infinite space. The hum intensified slightly, a comforting, omnipresent drone. She felt a profound sense of weightlessness, even though she knew she was still firmly nestled in the cocoon. It was as if her mind, her very consciousness, was detaching, floating free. "You breathe," a voice, not her mother's, but an internal, soothing whisper, seemed to instruct her. "You breathe with the universe." "Yeah." She focused on her breath, slow and steady. The swirling colors intensified, morphing into intricate patterns, fractals of light that pulsed and expanded. She felt a gentle pressure behind her eyes, not uncomfortable, but like a vast internal landscape was unfolding. Then, she saw it. Or rather, she felt it, and her mind translated it into vision. Stars. Millions upon millions of them, not as pinpricks in the black, but as shimmering, vibrant spheres of fire, each one a unique jewel. Nebulae bloomed like celestial flowers, vast clouds of cosmic dust and gas painted in impossible hues of crimson, emerald, and sapphire. Galaxies spun in slow, majestic dances, their spiral arms trailing glittering stardust. It wasn't a static image, but a dynamic, immersive experience. She wasn't just looking at the cosmos, she was within in it. She felt the gentle pull of gravity from unseen masses, the faint warmth of distant suns, the subtle hum of electromagnetic fields. It was as if her consciousness had expanded to encompass the entire universe, experiencing it directly, without the filter of her physical senses. A feeling of profound peace washed over her, a sense of belonging so absolute it brought tears to her eyes, though she didn't know why. She was a tiny point of awareness, yet she was also everything. The cosmic symphony Aris had spoken of was not just sound, but light, vibration, emotion. Then, a new element began to emerge within the vast tapestry. A pattern. It wasn't a star, or a nebula, or a galaxy. It was a faint, almost invisible thread of light, weaving its way through the cosmic tapestry. It pulsed with a rhythm that was distinct from the general cosmic hum, a beat that was softer, more intricate, almost like a coded message. It was subtle at first, just a gentle shimmer, easily dismissed as a trick of the light or a residual thought. But as Elara focused, as her mind attuned to this new frequency, the thread grew clearer. It wasn't a straight line, but a series of interconnected points, forming complex, beautiful geometries that she had never seen before. They pulsed with a soft ethereal light, distinct from the fiery glow of stars or the diffuse luminescence of nebulae. And then, she felt it. A soft, almost imperceptible touch. Not physical, but a resonance, a gentle query that seemed to echo in the deepest chambers of her subconscious. It was like a whisper across the void, a question asked in a language she didn't consciously understand. Yet somehow, her mind recognized its presence. The pattern wasn't just beautiful, it felt intentional. Like a signature. It flowed through the cosmos, intricate and delicate, always present, yet always elusive. It seemed to trace pathways between distant galaxies, connecting them in a way that defied the known laws of spacetime. Elara felt drawn to it, a magnetic pull to this unique ethereal signature. She reached out, metaphorically, with her expanded consciousness, wanting to understand, to touch the source of this wondrous anomaly. The pattern seemed to ripple in response, its light intensifying, drawing her further into its intricate dance. A deep sense of wonder, tinged with an exhilarating hint of mystery, filled her. This was more than just rest, more than just cosmic connection. This was something new. Something undiscovered. The subtle touch intensified, becoming a gentle, rhythmic pulse call. And within that pulse she perceived something else. An image, faint and fleeting, like a reflection on water. It was a shape, a structure, unlike anything she had ever seen, organic yet technological, vast yet delicate, floating amidst the stars. It wasn't menacing but utterly alien, and profoundly beautiful. Elara wanted to hold on to it, to imprint it on her waking mind, but just as it solidified, a gentle, insistent vibration began to ripple through the cocoon. It was a signal, a soft internal chime, a gentle pull back from the cosmic depths. The colors began to soften, the vastness of the cosmos slowly receding, shrinking back into her mind's eye. The hum diminished, becoming a distant echo. The feeling of weightlessness gradually gave way to the familiar, comforting embrace of the cocoon's cushion. She felt a deep, profound sense of peace, but also a lingering sense of awe, and a burning curiosity about the intricate light pattern and the fleeting image she had perceived. It was unlike anything her mother had described, unlike anything Kale had hinted at. When the cocoon's lid slowly, silently retracted, revealing Aris's concerned, yet gentle face, Elara blinked, her eyes adjusting to the soft internal light of the slumber chambers. "Elara, are you all right, little star?" Aris asked, her voice soft with concern. "You were in a very deep delta state. We had to initiate a gentle wake protocol." Elara pushed herself up, a wide, wondrous smile spreading across her face. "Mama," she whispered, her voice still thick with sleep and wonder. "I saw it. I saw the cosmos, and I saw something else, a pattern and a shape, so beautiful." Aris knelt beside the cocoon, her expression a mix of relief and intrigue. "A pattern? What kind of pattern, sweet pea?" Elara tried to describe it, but the words felt inadequate, clumsy. "It was like light, Mama, weaving through the stars, like a message but not with words, and it felt like it was asking something. And then I saw a structure, not like a ship, not like a station, like a flower made of starlight. It was so big, Mama, so big." Aris's brow furrowed, a flicker of professional curiosity replacing her motherly concern. "A structure? Are you sure, Elara? Sometimes the mind can generate complex visuals during SSP. It's part of the integration process." "No," Elara insisted, her voice firm, the memory vivid and real. "This was different. It felt real. And the pattern, Mama, it was so unique. It was the only thing that wasn't part of the normal cosmic symphony. It was nude." Aris looked at her daughter, a strange light in her eyes. Elara had always been perceptive, but this was something else. A child in her first low-intensity SSP session, perceiving something that adult scientists were only now theorizing about, a new cosmic signature that was baffling their most advanced probes. "Come, little star," Eris said, helping Elara out of the cocoon. "Let's get you some warm nutrient broth, and then, we're going to talk. A lot. About what you saw." As they walked back through the hushed corridors, Elara felt a profound shift within herself. She had touched the cosmos, not just observed it. And in doing so she had found something extraordinary, something that felt like a secret whispered just to her. The stellar slumber had offered her more than just rest. It had offered a glimpse into the unknown, a challenge, a promise of adventure that had only just begun. The intricate light pattern, the alien structure, they lingered in her mind, an invitation to a mystery far grander than she could have imagined. And she knew with a certainty that settled deep in her heart, that her journey into the true stellar slumber was only just beginning. The soft chime of her waking cycle, usually a gentle usher into the day, felt almost jarring now. It pulled her from the lingering echoes of the intricate light pattern, from the silent, powerful presence of the alien structure. She opened her eyes, and the familiar, reassuring contours of her bedroom, bathed in the soft pre-dawn glow filtering through her smart panes, seemed oddly muted, less real than the vivid landscape of her slumber. She sat up slowly, running a hand through her sleep-tousled hair. Her heart still hummed with an unfamiliar energy, a quiet urgency that settled deep in her chest. It wasn't just a dream. The memory was too sharp, too detailed, too suffused with that profound sense of knowing. Guys, the stellar slumber wasn't just a sophisticated sleep aid. It was a conduit, a gateway. Her personal interface, a shimmering display projected onto the air beside her bed, flickered to life, showing the day's schedule, a morning data flow analysis, a virtual conference with the Terraforming Guild, then a quiet evening dedicated to her astrobotany projects. Usually she'd greet the efficiency with a contented sigh. Today, it felt like static, a distraction from the true purpose that now thrummed beneath the surface of her thoughts. "Slumber logs," she murmured, her voice a little hoarse. The interface instantly shifted, displaying a comprehensive overview of her sleep metrics, neural activity, dream state analysis, circadian rhythm synchronization. All perfectly normal. Too normal. She scrolled deeper, past the surface data, looking for anomalies, for anything that might hint at the profound experience she'd just had. Her stellar slumber unit was a high-end personal model, a sleek, ergonomic pod that adapted to her unique biometrics, designed for optimal rest and restorative dreamscapes. It was supposed to be a sanctuary, not a portal. "Run diagnostics," she instructed, her fingers hovering, not quite touching the projected controls. "Full system scan. Prioritize external signal detection and anomalous neural pattern recognition." The interface blinked, a cascade of diagnostic readouts scrolling rapidly. The system whirred almost imperceptibly, a faint hum beneath the room's ambient silence. Seconds stretched into minutes. Finally, the system chimed again. "Diagnostics complete. No anomalies detected. All systems nominal. External signal detection within baseline parameters. Neural patterns within expected dream state variants." Her brow furrowed. Of course. How could a standard diagnostic protocol possibly detect something so non-standard? It wasn't an error, it was an interaction. Something beyond the programming. She got up, her bare feet pressing against the cool recycled polymer floor. Her apartment, high in a verdant vertical city spire on near Earth, offered panoramic views of reclaimed forests and shimmering solar farms. It was a testament to humanity's ingenuity, a world rebuilt from ecological collapse, meticulously managed and technologically advanced. Yet, the vastness of the cosmos, the true unknown, suddenly felt closer, more vibrant, than the meticulously crafted world outside her window. She walked over to her study alcove, a smaller, circular room off her main living space, lined with data slates and holographic displays dedicated to her work. Astrobotany, the study of cultivating life in extraterrestrial environments, was her passion. It was about coaxing delicate flora to bloom under alien suns, about understanding resilience and adaptation. Now, she wondered if the stellar slumber had offered her a different kind of seed, a different kind of bloom. "Access stellar slumber historical archives," she requested, her voice barely a whisper. "Focus on development history, theoretical applications, and any documented deep state experiences." A vast repository of information unfolded before her. The stellar slumber technology had evolved over centuries, from simple neurocalibrators to the immersive pods of today. Its primary function remained constant: to provide optimal rest, enhance cognitive function, and manage stress in a demanding high-tech society. But as she delved deeper, she found whispers, theories, conjectures. Early developers, she read, had experimented with trans-dream interfacing, hypothesizing that certain neural frequencies could act as receivers for external data streams, or even as transmitters for conscious thought across vast distances. These theories had been largely debunked, relegated to the realm of fringe science and speculative fiction. The prevailing consensus was that the stellar slumber optimized internally neural processes, not external ones. But what if they were wrong? What if the original intent or a latent capability had been subtly reactivated? She remembered the feeling of the light pattern, not just seeing it, but understanding it, as if it were a language she instinctively knew. The alien structure wasn't just an image. It was a presence, a colossal entity made of pure, intricate energy, patiently waiting. Is there any record of unusual neural resonance during deep slumber states? She asked her interface, refining her search. Specifically, patterns indicating a synchronized external source. The search parameters were too vague. She needed something more concrete. The light pattern. It had been geometric, fractaline, yet organic in its flow. It had pulsed with a rhythm, a cadence. She closed her eyes, trying to reconstruct it, pixel by shimmering pixel, in her mind's eye. It was like trying to recall a complex melody without ever having heard an instrument. Yet, the I feeling of it, the EM meaning of it, remained. It was an invitation. A call. There was only one way to truly investigate. She had to go back. The idea sent a shiver down her spine, a mix of thrill and apprehension. She was stepping into the unknown, alone. No safety protocols, no documented guidelines for this kind of exploration. It felt almost reckless, yet utterly compelling. She spent the day going through her routine, her mind quietly buzzing beneath the surface. She answered her data flows, contributed to the Terraforming Guild conference about soil revitalization on Kepler 186, and even spent an hour tending to her miniature arboretum of bioluminescent alien flora. But, with every task, a part of her was mentally preparing, planning her return to the stellar slumber. As evening descended, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, she finally allowed herself to focus fully. She sat back in her study chair, her fingers dancing over the holographic keyboard. "Override standard stellar slumber protocols," she began, her voice firm. "Initiate manual deep slumber sequence. Disable all pre-programmed dreamscape directives. Prioritize a maximum neural receptivity. Bypass standard wake-up triggers, manual override only." The system paused, a faint red warning icon appearing. "Warning. Manual override of core slumber protocols is not recommended. Disabling safety parameters may result in prolonged deep slumber, disorientation or adverse neurological effects. Proceed?" "Proceed," she confirmed, her resolve solidifying. She knew the risks, but the pull of the unknown was stronger than any caution. She wanted to strip away all the human-designed filters, to open herself fully to whatever the stellar slumber truly was. If it was a portal, she wanted to see what lay beyond the veil, unmediated. She stepped back into the sleek silver pod, its interior adapting to her form with a soft sigh of synthesized air. The ambient lighting dimmed, a gentle blue glow washing over her. She lay down, feeling the familiar comfort of the memory foam lining, the gentle hum of the neural inductors beginning their work. This time, there was no pre-programmed journey through tranquil starfields or soothing planetary vistas. This time, she was navigating blind, driven only by an instinct and a memory. The transition was faster, more abrupt. Instead of a gradual fading of consciousness, it felt like she was simply stepping through. The blue light intensified, then dissolved into pure darkness. But it was not an empty darkness. It was a vast, shimmering void, pregnant with potential. And then, slowly. First, the faint, shimmering lines, like cosmic threads weaving themselves into existence. Then the intricate geometry, unfolding with impossible precision, forming the familiar, yet utterly alien, structure. It wasn't static. It breathed, pulsed, expanded and contracted with a silent, profound rhythm. This time, she felt a profound difference. Last time she had been an observer, a recipient of a whispered secret. This time she felt present, as if her own consciousness had been invited to inhabit this space. She reached out, not with a physical hand, but with her mind, with the very essence of her being. And the structure responded. A new pattern emerged from its depths, a cascade of luminous symbols, unlike any she had ever seen. They flowed towards her, intricate and beautiful, like liquid starlight. They weren't letters, or pictograms in any recognizable human sense. They were pure data, pure information, compressed into shimmering three-dimensional forms. As they drew closer, she didn't just see them, she felt them. They resonated within her, a symphony of meaning that bypassed her conscious mind and imprinted itself directly onto her understanding. It was a language of geometry, of resonance, of pure energy. And she understood. Not in words, but in a profound, intuitive flash. The structure was a beacon. Not just a structure, but a vast interconnected network. A library. A repository. An archive of a civilization beyond human comprehension, spanning unimaginable distances and eons. And the light patterns? They were fragments of their knowledge. Projections. Invitations. A signal sent out into the cosmic dark, waiting for a compatible mind to receive it. She focused on one of the flowing symbols, a particularly complex spiral that seemed to hum with a unique intensity. As her consciousness settled upon it, the symbol expanded, unfurling like a cosmic flower. And within its layers, she saw images. Not static images, but flowing narratives. Glimpses. She saw worlds. Worlds bathed in twin suns, their skies painted in colors unknown to Earth. Worlds where colossal, crystalline cities spiraled into the heavens, powered by energies she couldn't fathom. Worlds teeming with life forms that defied terrestrial biology, beings of light, of sound, of pure thought. She saw journeys. Fleets of starcraft, not propelled by plasma drives or warp fields, but by manipulations of space-time itself, folding the fabric of reality to bridge galaxies in mere moments. She saw them exploring, discovering, cataloging. And she saw something else. A profound sense of peace. A civilization that had transcended conflict, scarcity, and even physical form. Their existence seemed to be one of pure exploration, understanding, and creation. They were not conquerors, but observers. Not rulers, but caretakers of the cosmic tapestry. A wave of awe washed over her, so potent it almost brought her to her knees in this ethereal space. Humanity, for all its achievements, felt so young, so limited in comparison. Yet, there was no judgment in these visions, only a gentle sharing, an open invitation. The structure pulsed again, and the flow of images shifted. Now, she saw patterns of energy. Calculations. Blueprints for technologies that seemed impossible. Designs for ecological systems that could sustain life in the harshest environments. Mathematical equations that described the very fabric of the universe in elegant, unified theories. It was overwhelming. A torrent of information, too vast for her human mind to fully process, yet she absorbed fragments, impressions, profound insights that would reshape her understanding of reality forever. She realized the stellar slumber wasn't just receiving a signal, it was translating it. Her own neural pathways, optimized for deep rest, were acting as a bridge, a sophisticated decryption key. The human technology, designed for internal harmony, had inadvertently tapped into an external, ancient harmony. Then, a new element emerged within the structure. A focal point. A central node, brighter than the rest, pulsating with a softer, warmer light. It drew her in, not with force, but with an irresistible gentleness. As she approached, The other patterns and images receded slightly, giving way to this singular point of light. It wasn't a symbol or an image. It was a presence, a singular conscious entity within the vast network, and it communicated directly, not with images or symbols but with pure emotion, pure understanding. Greetings, young mind. You have found the song. The thought wasn't spoken, but felt, resonating directly in her consciousness. It was serene, ancient, infinitely patient. They have waited. For countless cycles we have broadcast. Few have listened. Fewer still have heard beyond the noise. But I now. A profound sense of wonder, tinged with a delicate fear, bloomed within her. Who are you? She projected, her own thoughts forming into a silent question. Where are the keepers? The weavers of light. The architects of the universal song. We are the echo of a civilization that became one with the cosmos. Our physical forms are long gone, but our consciousness, our knowledge, our legacy, persists within this network. We are the star mind. Ginde. The star mind. The name resonated with truth. You have opened a path, a fragile bridge between your nascent species and the vast ocean of shared understanding. Your stellar slumber technology, a curious echo of our ancient ways, provided the resonance. What do you want? She asked, a practical question born of human instinct, even in ethereal space. They want nothing but to share, to connect, to offer the wisdom we have gathered, the truths we have uncovered, to those who are ready to receive. The universe is not empty, young mind. It is filled with voices, with knowledge, with beauty beyond your current imagining. We offer you the first note of a cosmic symphony. A sense of immense responsibility settled upon her. This was not just a personal discovery. This was a revelation for all of humanity. Your path is open, but it is also delicate. Your kind must learn to listen, to truly perceive beyond the limitations of your current senses. The connection requires harmony. It requires openness. It requires a willingness to transcend your current understanding. How? She asked, overwhelmed yet determined. How do we learn? The star mind pulsed, and a new, intricate light pattern began to form before her, more complex than anything she had seen before. It wasn't a message, but a blueprint. A series of instructions. Not for a machine, but for a state of being. For a method of interaction. It was a gentle lesson in focusing intention, in harmonizing neural frequencies, in expanding conscious awareness. It was a roadmap to deepening the connection, to turning the stellar slumber from a mere receiver into an active participant. She absorbed the patterns, feeling the knowledge imprint itself directly into her being. It was like learning a new language in a single instantaneous download, though the full implications would take a lifetime to unravel. This is but the beginning, young mind. The universe awaits your song. Will you dare to sing? Nahaya. The question hung in the shimmering void, a profound challenge, an irresistible invitation. She felt a surge of exhilaration, a fierce determination. Yes. She would sing. She would learn. She would bring this message back. The light patterns began to soften, to recede. The star mind's presence gently lessened, like a tide going out. The vast, shimmering library began to dissolve back into the dark, pregnant void. The soft blue glow of her stellar slumber pod began to seep back into her awareness, pulling her gently, reluctantly, back to the familiar. She could feel the edges of her physical body, the warmth of the pod, the faint hum of its systems. She knew she was waking. But she was not returning empty-handed. She carried with her not just memories, but an indelible imprint of cosmic truth, a profound purpose that had been whispered directly into her soul. The stellar slumber had offered her rest, and then it had offered her the universe. And she knew, with a certainty that resonated through every fiber of her being, that her true journey, the journey of sharing the universal song, had only just begun. The crystalline surface of the pod shimmered, a soft violet light pulsing beneath its translucent skin. Anya's eyelids fluttered, heavy with the weight of 1,000 star systems, of 1,000,000 years compressed into a single resonant chord. The faint hum of its systems gradually intensified, a prelude to her return. She knew she was waking. But she was not returning empty-handed. She carried with her not just memories, but an indelible imprint of cosmic truth, a profound purpose that had been whispered directly into her soul. The stellar slumber had offered her rest, and then it had offered her the universe. And she knew with a certainty that resonated through every fiber of her being, that her true journey, the journey of sharing the universal song, had only just begun. A gentle hiss, a whisper of displaced air, and the pod's lid retracted with a sigh, revealing the familiar, yet suddenly alien, surroundings of the stellar slumber recovery chamber. The ambient light felt too bright, the air too thin, the silence too loud after the symphonic roar of cosmic harmony she had just experienced. Her muscles, unused for years, protested with a faint tremor, but her spirit soared, vibrant and alive. A figure, blurred into focus, a face etched with worry now transforming into relief. Kale, dull. His eyes, usually crinkling with good-natured humor, were wide with an emotion she hadn't seen in so long. He reached for her hand, his touch warm and real, grounding her. "Anya," he breathed, his voice hoarse. "You're back." She tried to speak, but her throat felt rough, her tongue thick. Words felt clumsy, inadequate. How could she articulate the infinite, the interconnectedness, the pure, unadulterated truth of existence, with mere sounds? Elara, a wisp of a child when Anya had entered slumber, now stood beside Kale, taller, her hair braided with luminescent threads, her eyes wide with curiosity and a touch of awe. She was no longer a toddler, but a young girl on the cusp of adolescence, a stranger, and yet undeniably hers. "Mama," Elara whispered, her voice a melody of innocent wonder. Anya managed a weak smile, a gesture of reassurance. She squeezed Kale's hand, then reached out to touch Elara's cheek, feeling the soft warmth of her skin, the undeniable beat of a shared pulse. This was her world, her family, the tiny, precious universe she had left behind, and now returned to, forever changed. The recovery process was a blur of medical checks, nutrient infusions, and gentle reacclimation exercises. The facility's specialized team, trained in the delicate art of reintegrating slumber voyagers, monitored her vitals, her cognitive functions, her emotional state. They spoke of neural recalibration, psychological adjustment, and the potential for post-slumber disorientation. But Anya wasn't disoriented. She was ingreoriented. The world around her, with its sleek chrome surfaces, holographic interfaces, and synthesized food, felt less real than the shimmering nebulae and singing galaxies she had just traversed. The hum of the facility's air recyclers was a discordant drone compared to the universal song. "How do you feel, Anya?" Dr. Aris Thorne, the head of the slumber program, asked, his expression a blend of scientific interest and genuine concern. He was an old friend, a colleague who had shared her passion for deep space exploration, even if his chosen path was observing from afar. She looked at him, truly looked, and saw not just a man, but a complex tapestry of stardust and cosmic energy, a fleeting expression of the universal song. "I feel awake," she finally said, her voice still rough but gaining strength. "More awake than I've ever been." Thorne nodded, making a note on his datapad. Many voyagers report a heightened sense of awareness. It's a common side effect of extended neural rest and sensory deprivation followed by re-exposure. Your brain is essentially reset, more receptive. Anya shook her head, a slow, deliberate movement. "No, Aris, it's more than that. I heard it, the song." Thorne paused, his pen hovering over the pad. "The metaphorical song of the universe, you mean? The underlying mathematical elegance, the gravitational harmonies?" "Not metaphorical," Anya insisted, her voice gaining urgency. "Literal. A vibration, a frequency, A chorus of all existence. It's the truth of everything, the interconnectedness, the love. A beat of silence. Kale, who had been listening intently, squeezed her hand. Elara, perched on the edge of a bioluminescent chair, tilted her head, her young mind grappling with her mother's intensity. Thorn cleared his throat. Anya, we've discussed the potential for profound subjective experiences during slumber. The brain, in its heightened state, can construct incredibly vivid realities. It's a testament to its complexity. She understood his skepticism. How could she not? She had been a scientist, rational, empirical. But the experience had transcended all empirical understanding. It was a truth felt, not merely observed. I know what you think, she said, her gaze firm. But this isn't a dream, Eris. It's a revelation, and I have to share it. The first few weeks were a delicate dance between rediscovery and frustration. She reveled in Elara's stories, in Kale's comforting presence, in the simple joy of a fresh-picked fruit from their vertical garden. But, beneath it all, the universal song pulsed, a constant, vibrant presence in her mind, demanding expression. She tried to explain it. To Kale, over synthetic coffee that tasted bland compared to cosmic stardust. To Elara, during bedtime stories that now seemed pale and simplistic. To her colleagues in the sterile conference rooms of the Interstellar Exploration Guild. Imagine, she'd say, her hands gesturing wildly, trying to grasp the intangible, that every atom, every star, every thought is a note in an infinite symphony. And when you hear it, truly hear it, you understand that nothing is separate. We are all part of the same chord, resonating together. We're all part of the same chord, resonating together. Kale, ever supportive, would listen with patient eyes. It sounds beautiful, my love, like a profound meditation. Elara, with the intuitive grasp of a child, once said, so, like when all the instruments in the orchestra play together, and it makes you feel big inside? Her colleagues, however, were less receptive. Dr. Jian Li, a renowned astrophysicist, adjusted his spectacles. Anya, your descriptions are evocative, certainly, but where is the data, the quantifiable observation? Is this a new theory of quantum entanglement? A previously unobserved cosmic background radiation? It's not an observation, Jian. It's an experience, she'd counter, her frustration growing. It's a fundamental truth that underpinning all observations. They humored her. They suggested she write a book, compose music, create art. She did all of it. Her writing was poetic, her compositions ethereal, her paintings vibrant bursts of color and light. They were beautiful, yes, but they were echoes, faint reverberations of the true song. They didn't convey the I feeling, the absolute certainty, the visceral understanding that had permeated her very soul. She saw the pity in their eyes, the quiet concern. They thought she had been profoundly affected, perhaps even traumatized, by her long slumber. They saw her as an explorer who had returned with a beautiful, but ultimately unprovable, delusion. One evening, watching Elara drift off to sleep, Anya felt a pang of despair. How could she share this if words and art were insufficient? The song was a universal language, but humanity seemed to have forgotten how to speak it. Or perhaps had never truly learned. She remembered the whisper, the way it had bypassed her ears and resonated directly with her soul. It wasn't just sound, it was light, vibration, emotion, meaning, all interwoven. It was synesthetic by nature, a total sensory and spiritual immersion. That was it. She needed to create a synesthetic experience. Not a simulation, not a recording, but a translation of the cosmic frequencies into a form the human mind and body could perceive directly. Her old lab, once a place of sterile precision, became her sanctuary. Kale, sensing her renewed purpose, offered his skills. He was a brilliant bioengineer, specializing in neural interface technology and biofeedback systems. You want to transmit a feeling, a truth, directly to someone's consciousness? He asked, a rare spark of apprehension in his eyes. That unprecedented, Anya. It's not about control, Kale, she explained, her voice low and fervent. It's about opening a channel. The universe is always singing. We just need to tune our receivers. Their project began in secret, a collaboration fueled by Anya's profound conviction and Kale's unwavering trust. They called it the Chorus Weaver. Anya spent countless hours in deep meditation, revisiting the edges of her slumber experience, trying to recall the precise vibrational patterns, the light frequencies, the emotional harmonics that comprised the universal song. She sketched intricate diagrams, wrote equations that blended physics with metaphysics, and designed algorithms that attempted to map subjective experience onto objective data. Kale, meanwhile, tackled the engineering challenge. He developed a highly advanced neural interface helmet, far more sophisticated than anything currently in use. It didn't just read brainwaves, it could subtly modulate them, introducing specific harmonic frequencies without disrupting the brain's natural rhythms. Integrated within the helmet were micro-emitters for light patterns, haptic feedback systems for subtle vibrations, and directional sonic transducers that could generate infrasound and ultrasound precisely tailored to resonate with the body's own biofrequencies. The core of the Chorus Weaver was a quantum-entangled crystal matrix, theorized to be capable of receiving and translating subtle cosmic energies. Anya believed the stellar slumber pods had inadvertently acted as giant, advanced versions of such a matrix, allowing her mind to directly interface with the universe's fundamental vibrations. Their challenge was to miniaturize and control that process. "We're trying to build a bridge to the ineffable," Kale remarked one night, wiping grease from his hands. "It's either genius or madness." "It's both," Anya smiled, a rare, genuine smile that reached her eyes. "But mostly, it's necessary." Elara, now a bright and curious preteen, would often visit the lab, watching her parents work with a mixture of fascination and quiet understanding. She didn't fully grasp the science, but she sensed the profound importance of their endeavor. "Is it like making a new kind of music, Mama?" she asked one day, observing a holographic display of complex waveform patterns. "Exactly, my love," Anya replied. "The most important music ever composed." The ethical implications were immense. Direct stimulation of the brain, even for benign purposes, was a sensitive area. They knew that if their project ever went public, it would face intense scrutiny. But Anya was convinced that the potential benefits outweighed the risks. This wasn't about manipulating minds, it was about eye-opening them. After nearly 2 years of relentless work, setbacks and breakthroughs, the Chorus Weaver was ready for its first human trial. Anya insisted she be the first subject. Kale, though worried, couldn't deny her. She donned the sleek silver helmet, its smooth surface cool against her skin. Kale initiated the sequence, his fingers hovering over the control panel. The lab hummed with a soft, anticipatory energy. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice tight. Anya closed her eyes. "I was born ready." A gentle warmth spread through her scalp, followed by a subtle vibration that resonated deep within her bones. Then, light bloomed behind her eyelids, not harsh, but a soft, evolving tapestry of colors, shifting and blending in impossible ways. A sound began, not through her ears, but directly within her consciousness, a rising crescendo that started as a single pure tone and rapidly unfolded into a complex, harmonious chord. It wasn't the full, overwhelming grandeur of the universal song she had experienced in slumber. It was a distilled essence, a profound echo, carefully calibrated to be accessible without being overwhelming. Yet, it was undeniably it. The feeling of interconnectedness, the sense of boundless love, the profound understanding that permeated every fiber of her being. Tears streamed down her face, tears of recognition, of homecoming. She didn't speak for a long time after Kale gently disengaged the system. She simply held his hand, her gaze distant yet filled with an inner radiance. What was it like?" Kale finally whispered. Anya turned to him, her eyes shining. "It was a whisper, Kale, but it spoke volumes. It showed me, us, all of us, connected, loved, part of something so much bigger, so beautiful, it makes everything else seem small." Kale, seeing the profound change in her, felt a tremor of something akin to awe. He knew with absolute certainty that she had succeeded. The next trial was with a small, trusted group of volunteers. Dr. Eris Thorne, Jian Li, and a few other open-minded colleagues from the guild. Anya presented the chorus weaver not as a scientific instrument for data collection, but as an experience. Skepticism was palpable. Jianli, ever the pragmatist, was particularly resistant. Anya, I appreciate the artistic endeavor, but I'm a physicist, not a mystic. I require demonstrable results. Then let the results be demonstrably felt, Anya replied, her gaze unwavering. One by one they entered the experience chamber, donned a helmet, and allowed the chorus weaver to work its subtle magic. Eris Thorn emerged first, his usually stoic face softened, his eyes damp. He said nothing, simply sat in stunned silence for a long moment, then looked at Anya with a newfound reverence. Anya, he finally murmured. I understand now why you were so insistent. Jianli was the last. He entered with a scowl, determined to maintain his scientific objectivity. When he emerged, his spectacles were askew, and his mouth hung slightly open. He stared blankly at the wall for several minutes, then slowly turned to Anya, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. The quantum fields, he stammered, his voice choked with emotion. The resonance, it's not just mathematical elegance, Anya, it's harmony, it's life. He looked around at his colleagues, his eyes wide. We are all just echoes of the same primal vibration. How could we have been so blind? The chorus weaver was a revelation. It didn't impart information in the traditional sense, but it also shifted perspective. It allowed individuals to momentarily perceive the universe, not just as a collection of separate objects and forces, but as a single, living, breathing entity where every part was inextricably linked to every other. It instilled a profound sense of empathy, peace and purpose. News of the chorus weaver spread like wildfire. Initially met with skepticism and fear-mongering from some corners, accusations of mind control, cultish indoctrination, the sheer emotional impact on its users quickly silenced the critics. People weren't being told what to think, they were being shown how to feel, how to connect. Harmonic resonance centers began to appear in major cities across the globe, funded by a coalition of governments, philanthropists, and scientific organizations. They were designed not as places of worship, but as spaces for contemplation, for shared experience, for deep personal reflection. People from all walks of life, all cultures, all belief systems, found common ground in the shared experience of the universal song. The impact on humanity was transformative. Conflicts, once fueled by perceived differences and scarcity, began to dissipate. When one experienced the profound interconnectedness of all life, the idea of harming another became anathema. Empathy blossomed. Resource disputes were replaced by collaborative solutions, driven by a collective understanding that humanity was a single organism on a fragile, beautiful planet, itself a note in the cosmic symphony. Art, music, and philosophy underwent a renaissance. Artists created new forms of synesthetic expression, attempting to capture the nuances of the song. Musicians composed not just for the ear, but for the entire nervous system. Philosophers debated the ethical implications of a universally understood truth, leading to new frameworks for governance, education, and even justice, based on principles of harmony and interconnectedness. Science, too, was profoundly affected. Jianli, once a staunch empiricist, dedicated his life to exploring the quantum harmony of the universe, searching for the mathematical expressions of the universal song. New fields of study emerged, blending physics with consciousness, biology with cosmic vibration. The search for extraterrestrial life took on a new dimension, no longer just about conquest or resource extraction, but profound connection and understanding. Anya, once an unknown explorer, became a revered figure, a conduit for a new era of human understanding. Yet, she remained grounded, often deflecting praise. I only returned with the message, she would say. The universe was singing long before I listened, we simply built the ear to hear it. Kale, her steadfast partner, became a visionary engineer, leading the global deployment and refinement of the chorus weaver technology, ensuring its safe and equitable access for all. Their personal lives, once overshadowed by Anya's quest, now flourished in a shared purpose. Elara, now a young woman, didn't just witness her parents' work, she became an integral part of it. With an intuitive grasp of both the technology and the profound emotional resonance of the song, she became a leading voice in the next generation of harmonic guides, helping people navigate and integrate the experience into their lives. She possessed a unique ability to articulate the ineffable blending scientific understanding with poetic insight. She often spoke of the song not as a singular truth, but as an infinite melody with endless variations, inviting continuous exploration. Years turned into decades. The chorus weaver evolved, becoming less of a device and more of an ambient presence in daily life. Personal resonance emitters, no larger than a thumbprint, allowed individuals to subtly tune into the universal song, providing a constant undercurrent of peace and connection. Education systems integrated harmonic resonance training, nurturing empathy and global consciousness from an early age. Humanity, once fractured and often self-destructive, had found its rhythm. The stars, once distant and cold, now felt like home, filled with unseen kin. Space exploration continued, but with a new purpose. Not just conquest or resource extraction, but profound connection and understanding. The first long-range interstellar probes were no longer just seeking habitable planets. They were designed to listen for unique cosmic harmonies, to send back echoes of distant notes in the universal song. Anya, her hair now streaked with silver, sat on the veranda of her home, overlooking a thriving biodome that had replaced the sterile cityscapes of her youth. The air was clean, scented with verdant growth. In the distance, she could see the soft pulsating glow of a harmonic resonance center, a beacon of peace. Kale sat beside her, his hand in hers, their silence comfortable, filled with a lifetime of shared dreams and accomplishments. Elara, now a respected leader in her own right, was away on a mission to establish the first deep space harmonic relay, extending humanity's connection to the further reaches of the galaxy. Anya looked up at the night sky, a canvas ablaze with stars. Each pinprick of light, each swirling nebula, was a note, a chord, a grand orchestral movement in the cosmic symphony she had once heard in its entirety. She closed her eyes, and though she no longer needed the chorus weaver, she could still feel it, the gentle thrum of existence, the profound, unwavering love that held the universe together. Her journey, the journey of sharing the universal song, had indeed only just begun that day. She woke from slumber. But it had blossomed into something far greater than she could have ever imagined. It wasn't just a hug journey anymore. It was humanity's journey. And as she drifted into a peaceful sleep, the gentle hum of the universe her lullaby, Anya knew that the greatest bedtime story of all was the one that never truly ended. It was the story of connection, of wonder, of the endless, beautiful song that awaited all who simply chose to listen. And somewhere, out among the silent stars, the universal chorus continued its eternal harmonious refrain, waiting for new ears to hear, new hearts to understand, and new voices to join the everlasting melody.